Hello everyone and welcome back. We are here with another subscriber base review, and we are here with Town Hall 8 today. So I've got a bunch of Town Hall 8 bases ready for you guys to hear what I think about them, and I guess you guys can provide your feedback for these guys in the comments as well. Now if you would like your base to potentially be featured on one of these subscriber base reviews, you should check out my Facebook page in the description of this video. There will be a link in there to like my page, and then I'll post an update video on the weekend sometime, and you can submit your base on there. I'll talk about more about that on the end, though, end of this video, so if you want more details, stick around. Alright, let's get on to the first base. So we have Jeff from the Andorian Empire. So Jeff is a Town Hall 8, so right off the bat what strikes me is you got some pretty well upgraded walls. Your Town Hall's in the center, which is interesting, and we can talk about that. Your trophy count, 1350-ish. Okay, so that's interesting right there. So let's see if you have any message. So you do say, new hybrid base for a clan league. Where would you put the mortar when done? About to do a trophy push. Now, I'm really glad you sent this message, because I say this is definitely a good mix for a trophy base. You're trying to protect your resources, at the same time you're trying to protect your town hall. I would say normally, if you just hadn't written that comment, 1350 trophies is low to have a town hall in the center base, and normally would recommend keeping it outside the walls. But because you're actively building, that's definitely a good decision. Now, for those of you who might be confused, what is this league that he mentioned, the clan league, and what is the trophy push, and why is he doing this? So Jeff is going to be trying to raise his trophies up over the next week or so before the update comes out, and then as soon as the update is out, he wants to maintain a higher trophy count. What this will allow him to do is when he attacks other players, he'll be able to get a larger bonus because his trophy count will be higher. This is the new update that's coming out, so if you heard nothing about this, look for other videos where I talk about the update on my channel, and I'll have more of them coming out soon. Alright, beyond that, I think that this base, on the whole, does a really good job of that. I think that you do a pretty good job of protecting the resources while maintaining a balance between that and the defenses. I might want to swap around a couple things, though. So let's talk about that. So the fact that you've got this sort of plus shape of buildings in the center that's non-combat means that your mortars are on the sort of the corners. So these three mortars, really. Now, imagine what would happen if the mortar was moved over one spot and was either right here or right here. Look at the circle and how it would move. It would mean the mortar couldn't cover outside the walls quite as much, but could cover inside the walls quite a bit better. So I'm thinking that that would actually be a good change, to swap your mortars so they're in the center. You might want to swap around the wall so it's they're a bit more protected, so it's not the storage in the individual compartments, but you can think about doing that. Basically, my point is, I think centralizing the mortars a little bit more rather than the gold storages and elixir storages, I think that's a bit of a higher priority. Now, you can only have 4 storages in here, so you do have 1 out here. The fact that all these look relatively full means that you are, I'll just check the counts in here, 12,000, and then this one. So you're clearly not prioritizing the elixirs. I assume that you just are active enough in raiding that you can't spend it all, which is a common problem. For this base, though, the center bit, I approve. You're very active in working on defenses, so going up to level 6 is great on that. Level 6 as well is great for that. And then your lonely level 4 wizard tower. Yeah, those 2 wizards will definitely be a good addition. It's going to be interesting where you place them. I would consider placing another one towards the center, perhaps move the elixir storage out so you only have 3 storages in the center. The benefit of that is having 2 wizards in the center means that anything that gets into your 3 critical storages means that the wizard will zap the goblins. Now, something that you also want to be aware of is that you can absolutely swap around these storages as needed. So if you suddenly spend all of your gold on a wizard tower upgrade going up to level 6 and you're at 0 gold and you know you're going to get attacked because your shield's running out, well, all you got to do is just take your gold storages, put them on the outside of your base, and take your elixir storage and put them on the inside of your base. And just like that, you've taken a gold storage, which temporarily has basically no risk if it gets damaged. You won't lose anything. There's no loss. And moved it out to protect elixir more. Just a quick, simple swap like that is pretty effective. Overall, I talked a lot about defenses and internal layout. I'm not going to talk about the other stuff as much. Let's move on to the next one. But I'm definitely going to say, Jeff, you are definitely on the right track. I like what you're doing here. I think that mortar swap would be a good one. but I like it, and I like your strategy going for the new update. I think a lot of people can learn from that, and I think other people should be making trophy pushes soon as well. Alright guys, let's move on to the next base. Alright guys, here we are with Asian N8. So he is in Reddit Silver, as you can see right here. This is one of the Reddit competitive clans. So you are fairly high already at 1650 trophies. Looks like your town hall is outside the wall somewhere, so not sure where it is. Ah, it's down here. Got picked off, giving you a free shield. Very fun right there. Good job with that. Always nice to see those. Let me check that. Is it a Town Hall 8? Yes, it is indeed. Okay, so this base. Let's talk about upgrades on this base. I mean, I have to do it every video. Just upgrades, just focus on getting your stuff up. Perhaps you're newly Town Hall 8. I would not be surprised to hear that. You have level 5 mortars still. I'm just going to say level 6 mortars help a ton. Your mortars, when they hit groups of giants, when they hit infantry, you want to make sure they can one-hit infantry. You want to make sure they're doing as much damage as possible when they're hitting groups of giants. Just doing your splash damage buildings first, especially the mortars, because of their big range, is very important. Now, you have somewhat interesting design, given that you have a very large center. I am feeling that your center might have initially had the town hall right in here. Just given the spacing, it looks like this storage would fit out one more, the storage would fit out one more, and then the town hall would go in the center. So I'm thinking you just made a quick swap to put it outside. And that's a good decision, and it's a good change when you don't want to do a full redesign. You're just like, oh, I need a shield right now without being fully attacked. You can make that decision. Like, that's a good decision to make when you have a lot of resources you're risking. You might say, I would rather have a shield than a couple more trophies. That's a very valid decision. And if Ingus that's what was happening in this case, clearly it paid off because someone gave you a shield. Now, one thing I will say is that the wizard towers, I think, will be more centralized. Should be more centralized. Wizard towers do really good when they're a really good unit overall. So compared to the mortars, let's pull up these level 8 mortar stats. Look at how much damage they do. 8 per second. I've talked about how important they are, right? So compare this to something like a wizard tower. 8 damage per second. Remember that? 16 damage per second. Now the range is a lot slower, but they do fire faster, which means that they can keep up with fast-moving targets. The biggest downside is their range, so you're going to want to make sure they cover just the critical things as much as possible. Sort of like mortars, I mean. Basically what I'm trying to get at is I think you should have a couple of these in the center if possible. Partially that's against goblins, and partially that's just against any attacking unit in general. The 16 damage per second might not seem like a lot, comparing it to like a cannon. So 48 damage per second, roughly 3 to 4 times as much as that wizard tower. But the wizard does splash, so if the wizard hits 3 units, which is not hard for it to do, if it hits 3 units, it's equal to a cannon. If it hits more, it's way more than a cannon. If it hits 6 units at once, it's twice as valuable as a cannon. If it hits 10 units at once, it's like the cannon's doing nothing, the wizard tower's doing all the damage, if that's the situation. So you want to try to put it in situations where that's what's happening. So generally, putting it in the center more is going to help that happen. Now, in terms of your storages, I do like how you have your higher level storage in the center, and you have your lower level ones on the outside. I would say you don't need a second gold storage up to Town Hall level 8 already when you're at Town Hall 8. You just really don't need the storage. These 2 storage right here being level 11 will provide 4 million, which I can't think of one upgrade that you would need more than 4 million gold for. So it's just really a liability having this here, because whenever someone attacks it, they can steal a quarter of this 120,000 resources. Beyond that, let's talk about everything else. You do have some interesting things where you do some fun wall breaker shenanigans. What do I mean by that? So you've got mines and collectors inside the walls, and builders' huts, and then mines and collectors over here, and then one dark barracks right here. What are all these buildings? They're sort of unusual to see inside the walls most of the time. What they do is they make sure that that any wall breakers that attack will hopefully be going for those wall compartments before other things. That's a good decision. I certainly approve of that. Something I've talked about lately because I'm using my own base at the moment. I'd be curious how it's working out. The way you have them distributed makes them very powerful against things that are attacking from the top, which I'm not sure. Yeah, like someone with wall breakers could just attack from the bottom, I'm thinking, and maybe just sort of ignore them. One change I would make is definitely swap this and make this a gold mine. Just because dark barracks, it doesn't matter if it dies, just put it outside the walls. It does have less health, but I believe that just protecting your gold is slightly more important. So swap it for that level 9, for example. I would also say I would personally keep my gold mines inside the wall instead of my elixir collectors. I just value my gold a lot more. However, if you feel that these elixir collectors are more important, that's fine as well. But generally, it's really minor anyways. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about, and probably the most important, is clan castles. So you've currently got your clan castle down here. Clan castle is one of the most important defenses. So they might have killed off these guys, but you want to, 1, keep it full, and 2, keep it centralized. Keeping it centralized makes it much harder for your enemy to take out. I would say it's pretty much equal to a mortar. I didn't mention this last time with Jeff's base, but Jeff, maybe you could think about doing the same thing. Just keeping it centralized is really, really, really critical. And it really, really, really helps. So I think I should even do that better on my own bases, and I think I'm going to work on that more in the future as I transition to more trophy-focused bases. Because I do, too, plan on trying out the new league system by trying to stay in a higher league than maybe I otherwise would. Alright, guys, so that is going to wrap up Asian N8 base. Pretty good. Got some changes. Keep working on those upgrades, especially with the mortars and wizards. Overall, good job, and we're on to the next one. Alright, guys, welcome. We're here with Pendragon, another Town Hall 8, and this one, very notably, is very high level. So you'll notice this contrasts pretty sharply with the previous bases we saw. The walls, I mean, they're nothing to stand out. Jeff's base on the first one had better walls overall. This base, though, it's got the defenses where it counts. So wizard towers, level 6, level 6. There's another one that's out here that's upgrading, so going up to level 6 as well. Those are slow upgrades. Those are like 6 or 7 days, something ridiculously long. Mortars, also level 6, maxed out. Air defenses are both pretty high level at 4. They could be up to 6 as well, but that's not as important. In terms of everything else, okay, level 8, those could be 10s, and level 9s. These could be 10s as well. I like that you're... So this tells me you're sort of like halfway through Town Hall 8. Maybe a bit more, because you've done all the expensive, slow upgrades first. This tells me that you're certainly right on your priority upgrading order, so I certainly approve of that. Town Hall outside the walls, once again, low trophy count. I'd expect the space is pretty good down here. You'll probably get some people who lightning strike your storages. Keeping them all in the center is sort of asking for that. You can sort of like spread them out a little bit is probably the best thing to do. I've seen one strategy I like is they put their clan castle right in the center and then the storages around it in like a cross or plus shape. So overall base, that's not a specific like you must redesign this in order to do this now. I mean, it's good. It's just be aware that people might be coming after your dark elixir especially. Speaking of dark elixir, how much do you have? 8,000. So yeah, there's a significant amount to be stolen if someone wants to do so. Now, I do want to talk about natural decorations, and so there's bushes, trees, and trunks, and mushrooms, and etc. These things you should be removing. Whenever you have a free worker, just try to remove them so they don't keep spawning and filling, or so they don't max out the number of spawning. So you can have up to 40 in your base, and you want to remove them so you do not hit that 40 count. Why? Just because they're a free source of gems. If you actively remove them all, you're going to get an average of about 135 gems per month. On average, just a rough estimate. But, however, if you let them fill up to 40, which takes just under 2 weeks to do so, then you will no longer be having them spawn, which means you're missing out on gems, which I certainly recommend not letting that happen. So just whenever you've got a worker free, just try to remove them, especially like the ones which are like 15 seconds long. Plus, I mean, it's elixir, so like everyone's got too much elixir. Just do it. Alright, that's going to wrap it up for those natural decorations. Let's talk about some other stuff. Walls. So you do have a good number of buildings inside the walls, once again. We've seen a couple bases that are doing this. Your base is very tight, which is also, we've seen some sort of somewhat more loose bases for various reasons. I can see exactly where your Teslas are. They're going to be right here, and right here. And that's fine. I mean, you can't really hide Teslas, and I sort of wish that they had better ways to hide them. one idea that I was thinking about was maybe you could like hide them on any wall, anywhere. So they just like activate on top of the wall. They'd pop up out of the wall or something. Then people actually wouldn't know where they are. You'd have to like you'd have to adjust how they work, but in their current sort of way, you can't really hide them despite the fact that they aren't fully visible. I would just keep upgrading. I definitely approve of you getting this wizard tower up, and once you're done with that, I mean, obviously right now you can't do any more of those mortars or wizard towers. In terms of the walls, I guess the one thing you could do is, I just wish you had a couple more walls to play with. I don't know where I would steal them from, but what you could do is like, see this compartment over here with 5 buildings in it? If you could split that up into 2 compartments, that just increases your defensive capabilities. So maybe you would like combine these 2 compartments or something. It's a hard choice. I don't know exactly what I would do, but maybe just having more compartments out here basically makes it harder for wall breakers to get into the second ring and then the inner ring. Alright, that's going to wrap up Pendragon's base. Let's go on to the next one. Alright guys, here we are with Fanat22. So he actually wrote on his application on my Facebook page, Fanta22. So I don't know if you actually made a typo in your name. It's actually somewhat hard to find your name in game, because whenever you like talk in clan chat, it just says you. So you don't necessarily know what your name is. It's actually sort of funny because some of you guys actually don't know what your name is in game. I've had a couple bases where I've tried to review them in this video, and people either didn't put in the right name, or I just couldn't find them because I think they got their name wrong. It's a surprisingly common issue, so maybe you made a typo in your name. So, Fanta or Fanat, either way, here we are with your Town Hall 8 base review. Alright, so you do have a comment, and it's just basically, you really want your base reviewed, looking for advice, and in response to that comment, I know there are a lot of people who want to be reviewed, and while I obviously do have your base right here, to everyone else who isn't making this video or hasn't made videos in the past, I really wish I could get every one of you. The problem is, there's now 30,000 of you, just hit it today, and there's only one of me. And at least half of you are demanding a base review, it seems like every day. So, I really wish I could do more, and respond to personal messages and respond to pictures you send, but I just can't. Alright, so let's talk about this base here. So, right off the bat, you do have your clan castle right in the center, so just like I was talking about before, this is very hard to deal with, to draw out clan castle guys. So in it, you have archers and minions, interestingly. Generally wouldn't recommend to have minions. I guess they'll be good against some situations. I think I'd rather have a balloon than a minion, though. Simply, just the fact that its air is the main advantage rather than their speed or their damage. So yeah, I think I'd rather take a balloon and its splash damage. It's also less supply, because these minions, that represents 10 supply right there, 2 supply each, where one balloon could take up just 5 supply. Alright, so it's in the center. Your clan, very interestingly, is named Microwave. I'm not sure what inspired your clan leader to name their clan after either a household product or an interesting part of the spectrum, but you are in clan Microwave. Your storages are deployed pretty predictably right around the center. Interestingly, you currently got 3 elixir storages right there, and then your golds are farther out. Let me check, maybe these are empty right now. Yeah, those are really empty, 22,000. Meanwhile, yeah, that's over 250,000. Yeah, so that's a great job. This is exactly what I was talking about before. Basically, most people protect their gold storages more, but when in this situation just like this, when you don't have much gold in here, 22,000, that's nothing. Just move them out more, and then move in the ones that you want to protect more. Same thing goes for defenses as well, so the fact that this wizard tower is upgrading right now, I'd probably move it out to where this archer tower is. I expect you have a Tesla right there, but the point is, this is a lot less protected and will draw on the giants first. Meanwhile, if you have an active archer tower sitting where this wizard tower is, it will probably survive for longer. Now, you do some interesting things with some compartments here, and we're going to take a chance to talk about those. So, you do have gold mines and collectors in the corners. These two are enclosed. The right and the bottom are enclosed, you see, with complete walls right here. Meanwhile, well, this one's open. So I hope you have a spring trap right there. I expect you do. It's interesting that you chose to do this, and one more gold mine over here. I would think the walls might be a little bit better spent dividing these defenses right here. Why is that? Well, basically, distracting wall breakers is all fine and dandy, but I think that so how many wall breakers do people normally take? Well, pretty much no one goes with less than 4 wall breakers, which means you can break into this compartment and you'd be able to break into the next compartment. Now, if your walls were, instead of being rearranged around this gold mine, were rearranged right here, dividing this line between the mortars and the archer tower, it would mean that your defenses are slightly more spread out, but there's also walls separating them, which makes it harder for barbarians and giants and other melee units to get in there and do damage. At the same time, it wouldn't be any weaker against wall breakers because there's still 2 compartments that they'd be trying to break into. So I'd think about doing that. Basically, just dividing a compartment I think is going to be a bit more important than just adding ones on the outside. You'll notice on my base, currently on Derpy especially, has a lot of compartments, but and I add these extra ones on the outside, but I only add them once I've made really small compartments beyond that. So basically the outer compartments are sort of secondary priority. Alright, let's talk about upgrades. Pretty good. Wizard towers look like they're lacking a little bit. They're slow, they're expensive, I get it. Work on them. We looked at Clan Castle. Good, keep that full. I talked about the minions and that. These 4 builders' huts, not doing anything. You could think about putting them in these corners. They are smaller, so they would give up some free walls, which is advantageous. You'd get some more walls to play with if you put them in there, and they'd be just as effective. And yeah, I'd probably do that, just because it's not really worth it to protect the resources just for the amount of walls you'd save. I think putting those walls somewhere else would be a lot more important. Now, there are a couple inefficiencies in your walls. I see one main one. Yeah, it's only really one. So I take it back. It's just one. So this right here, this segment of walls, imagine that you take these walls right here, these 5 walls, and position them right here, and to go outwards. Right there, you could put in another building inside, and with the same number of walls. So I recommend just moving a gold mine or something in like that. No problems. Good little addition. Whenever you see walls that go in, think that. Actually, here's another one right here. Just move those ones, move them out, and you can fit more buildings right in here. Are there any others that I'm missing? I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. Let's see. Anything else? It's hard to tell whether your Teslas are. I expect you might have some giant bombs in here. It's hard to tell. You have enough big gaps that you could have some. If you do have giant bombs, I would say you want to put them here and here in the compartments which have storages in them. Gold storages and dark elixir storages. And then you can put your Teslas here, 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 and here. I realize that's 4 of them, but just put them around there. And let's see, I think that's about it. Yep, that's it. We're going to go on to our next base. Pretty good overall. I like that you have your clan castle in the center, and I think you're showing off exactly what I was talking about earlier. Very convenient of you, Fanta or Fanat, whichever you prefer. Alright guys, on to the next base. Alright, here we are with Switch from, let's try to pronounce this, Detrun Board. I have no idea what language that is, but that is not English. And you can tell that from both the clan name and the clan description if you bother to pull it up. So this looks like a pretty competitive clan. You are, it sounds like from the name that you are not like maybe you're a feeder clan or a part of a larger clan system. So you do have a comment here, and that is, I want to know what to upgrade first, and can you give me some tips on my walls? Sure, I can do both of those things. So, what to upgrade first? That's always a fun one. Well, for Town Hall 8, some of your defenses sort of really suck right now, so you're going to want to work on that. So, pretty much across the board, things are under-leveled. Your mortars aren't so bad. The mortars are probably the best thing about it. So you got a level 6 mortar, max at Town Hall 8. Good job. Level 5, not that far behind. Level 4, it's a little bit farther behind, but still not that bad. So mortars aren't that bad. Beyond that, it gets a little worse. So your wizards being level 3 is not good. At least 4, I would say. And you really want to get them up to 6 before you go up to any higher. Beyond that, archer towers and cannons, they're not terrible. They're just not good. Archer towers especially being level 5, actually that is terrible. Cannons level 7 is not terrible. It's just neither of them is that good. You'll notice that these are just really underleveled. You're going to want to work on all of these to get them up before you move on to Town Hall 9. Basically, this isn't a super uncommon situation, so don't feel bad. A lot of people do this, and that's just upgrade your town hall slightly faster than you probably should have. Now, how would I recommend coming back from this? And this isn't specifically for you, this is for anyone who thinks they've gone up in Town Hall level a little too fast and was probably a good idea. So, what you're going to want to do is stay low in the trophy count, like you're currently doing. However, that might change with the new update. If the rewards are enough, you might want to move up in the trophies. We'll see. We'll see. It's not yet fully known how it's going to work. You're going to want to keep your workers very busy working on your defenses, so I wouldn't work on things like elixir storage. You don't need more than 3 million elixir. There's very few things that take more than 3 million elixir, or even 3 million elixir as is. So I don't see why you're working on that. Instead, that gold and that worker would probably be better spent on just any defense. In terms of what to upgrade first, that was your first question, which I keep getting distracted on. I would say do finish up your mortars first. Get them up to level 6. Then I'd say do wizards. That's generally my typical order. Do mortars, then do wizards. However, you don't have to do it like, first we're going to upgrade all these last 2 mortars, and then that's the only thing we focus on. And then you do all 3 wizards at the same time. That weakens your base because you want to have a mix of different things upgrading at once. For example, it's pretty obvious that you don't want to upgrade all of your air defenses at the same time. That leaves you pretty vulnerable to the air. In the same way, you don't want to upgrade all your mortars or all your wizards or all anything at the same time because it leaves you vulnerable to thises or that's. So basically, do 1 mortar, do 1 wizard. Your air defenses are alright. I'd leave them both at 3 once this finishes up. And then do an archer and a cannon all at the same time. That's 4 right there. I'm not sure how many workers you have. Okay, I see 4 right here, so that's probably it. Yeah, so that's 4 right there. I would just work on 1 defense at a time. And the way it'll work out is you'll probably finish up your mortars pretty soon because you're closest to maxing them. And your wizards will take a long time because you have a lot of them. They're slow to do and they're expensive. And your cannons and archer towers, they'll go slow. They're faster individually and they're cheaper individually, but you have so many of them, they'll be sort of slow to go. Once this gold storage gets up to 10, I would probably leave it there as well. You don't need more than, I guess you do need more than 3 million elixir. I don't think you need more than 3 million elixir for many things, if anything, at this. The only thing that might be is wizard towers up to level 6, but you're not even close to that. So I would leave this at 10 for now, and if you need to get it up later, you can look at doing that. And yeah, I think that's a good plan for doing your upgrades. Now, walls. How do walls tie into this? So, your walls are a bit under-leveled right now. Your layout, I don't think I'm going to really focus on your layout. I think I'm going to talk about these other things that you sort of requested. Your layout's not bad, and I do like how your town hall is in the center, and I do like how it's not super symmetrical for one thing, and I do like how it's fairly small compartments. That's the only thing I'm going to say about your layout. It's pretty good. It's also not particularly normal, but it's still fine. Okay, so walls. Before I get any more distracted. So, the first goal for your walls is to get them all up to these pink gem walls level 6. And why is that? That's because level 6 walls are the best against level 5 wall breakers, which will be the most common level wall breakers to attack you, or at least the ones you want to be prepared to defend against. Level 5 wall breakers can bust through gold walls in just 1 hit, so you want to make sure that you can make them use 2 wall breakers per. Otherwise, 3 wall breakers could go 1, 2, 3, 4 compartments. Like just a couple of them, because 1 wall breaker could hit right here. Yeah, you could have 3 wall breakers come all the way into your center, basically, in your current layout. Now, so that means you're going to want to focus on getting walls up to level 6 first of all. Now, here's an interesting thing you can do, which I sort of refer to as worker scheduling or worker juggling. One strategy that some players use is keep a worker inactive at all times, so you can just spend resources on walls whenever you need to. And that allows you to farm all the time and get lots and lots of gold and just dump them right into walls. However, that means your worker is going to be inactive a lot of the time. Here's a better solution. What you should do is, it's really hard to tell and sort of demonstrate when you've got 4 buildings upgrading and I don't know how far they are, but say one of them, say like this is going to finish up in 1 day and everything else is going to finish up in 3 days, just for example. What you should do instead is, when just 1 worker finishes up in 1 day, that means the other 3 are done in 2 days. what you should send this one worker that's free on, don't send it off on a 2-day construction. That means it will be finishing up at the same time as the other 3. You're going to have enough projects that you're going to need to spend resources on in 2 days. So you should send it off either on a 1-day or a 3 or a 4-day. Then, when the 2-dayers all finish up, so then you've got 3 free workers all the time, your other worker is already busy and you don't need to queue it as well. Then, what project should you start those 3 free workers on? I think you should take them and send them all on different length constructions. Basically, you want workers finishing up at all different times. So there's 2 great benefits to this, and one of them ties into walls, which is why I'm talking about this. The first is you don't need to have a ton of resources to start multiple workers at once. To start a mortar upgrade and a wizard tower upgrade at the same time, that's millions and millions of gold, so that's a lot of work. Now, the other part of it is, if you have workers finishing up like 1 every day or 2, that means you can regularly take that worker, and before you send it off on his new project, you can spend as much spare gold as you have on walls. And then you send it off on his new project, using the rest of the gold. That right there is a good way to optimize your workers and upgrade your walls as efficiently as possible. At least, that's my plan and my strategy for doing so. Hope you find some of these tips useful. That's going to wrap up my advice for you, Switch, and best of luck catching up with your defensive levels. I think you'll do just fine. Alright guys, so that is going to wrap up my Town Hall 8 subscriber base review. So, in case your base was not subscribed, you're looking for advice on Town Hall 8 or others, you can check out my past subscriber base reviews. This was in fact my 14th subscriber base review. So I do have a nice backlog with lots of advice. Now, if you would like to be included in one of my subscriber base reviews, this is what you should do. As I said at the beginning, just go to my Facebook page and like it, and then sometime around the weekend I will make a status update asking people to submit a very simple form asking what clan are you in, how many clan trophies do you have, what's your in-game clan name, what rank are you in clan, by which I mean, are you 10th person in the clan, are you 25th? That helps me find you on the list. Beyond that, I will be picking people who submit that form on my Facebook page, so just keep an eye on my Facebook page. Now, I do get a lot of them, and I can't answer all of them, so I try to answer people who submit the form most fully. Beyond that, that's the only way I'm currently accepting applications, and I'm sorry if you don't have a Facebook. I do understand that some of you guys are on the younger side, or your parents don't allow you to have Facebook, so whatever the reason may be, you don't use Facebook, etc., etc. That's just how I'm doing it currently, and I do apologize. Beyond that, you guys can follow me on Twitter, and of course, if you're not subscribed, you probably should do that, considering this is a subscriber-based review. I'm putting out subscriber-based reviews on a weekly basis, and I'm putting out Clash of Clans videos. I try to do them every day. I've been doing a pretty good job lately with school and everything. That's been pretty busy. I've been doing a pretty good job, I'd say. Alright guys, so that is going to wrap up this video. As I said, that's how you can be included in a future subscriber-based review. Beyond that, if you guys just want advice, you can head over to Reddit. There's a link to that in the description as well, and that is a way you can just try to get advice for your base. When you go over there and post your base, what you should do is give advice to other people's bases as well, because if you want advice, so do they. So want to help out and give other people's advice, so then you hopefully get some as well. Alright guys, that is going to wrap up this subscriber base review and this video. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day, and clash on.